Hello, and welcome again to another episode of Dave Trippin'. Welcome to my new neighborhood, and I'm taking you for a wander around. The title of the video is Love Your Losses, something I was thinking about today as I was studying Japanese, and something that I think you could apply to anything really, but it's really good for language learning because you can see kind of a direct connection between the two. And what I'm talking about, and actually this could be good directly teaching in your classes as well. And I've touched on this a few times, but I wanted to talk about basically how perfection is a paralyzing force. And it's amazing how oftentimes the people who aren't so obsessed with perfect or perfect results all the time are the people who progress most rapidly. And I make this video as much for myself as for anybody watching it, because it's something that we constantly need to remind ourselves of, because I've been here for coming up on around 3 years, something like that. A little bit of time, not a huge amount of time, somewhere in between. And something I'd always told the kids that I work with at the school, or the kids I teach at the schools, is that you should never, ever, ever be afraid of making mistakes. Mistakes are essentially another form of learning, because that event, when you make a mistake, if you handle it well, you'll take it to heart and it'll be a significant event. We remember significant events. Our brains are designed to do so. And so a mistake can be a very, very useful thing. And funny thing is, I'm always telling my kids this. And I say it's as much as for them as it is for me, because as much as I tell people this, as important as it is to know, it's a constant battle to not give in to this kind of mentality where we're afraid to make a mistake. Because if you're afraid to make a mistake, then you're usually afraid to try. That's where it becomes an issue, because you're so obsessed with. And this is actually something they touched on when we talked about recently in one of our meetings, how you can teach better, and maybe some of the issues in the Japanese school system is that there is no ambiguity allowed in a correct answer. It's very much a Japanese mindset that there is one way to do things. Kind of, if you think of a grammatical structure, there's one way that you use that grammatical structure, and there's that one way that you speak the language, and that's something that people should move away from if they want to progress in the language, because they should realize that it's a little more amorphous. Languages is more dynamic than that. And I was thinking about it today when I was letting it get me down, where I had the Kyoto sensei. He came to the office, and in the office he said to me, "Oh, can you come outside and help me with something?" And I've been studying Japanese all day and hoping that whatever interaction that we have will go so smoothly. And when I go out, I got so much of the conversation. We were like moving things around. He was essentially organizing this area of the hallway, and he needed to lift up a couple of things and move them around and organize them, as I say. And I got so far through the conversation, and then he asked me to do something, and I had no idea what it was that he said. And we did eventually figure it out. The problem was he was lifting this heavy object while trying to tell me what to do. And so in me not understanding exactly what it was that he was trying to communicate, here he is standing with a heavy object, the guy's dying, and I don't know exactly what we need to do next before we can move on to the next thing. It did eventually solve itself, as all things do. Things are gonna work out. It's all okay. But it really bummed me out afterwards, because I was like, oh, I've been studying so much. I should have known what the man was trying to tell me. And then I was sitting in the chair and I was like, no, this is that thing that you always tell the students to pay attention to and to not beat yourself up over. It's that if you make an error like that, if you have that moment of weakness, you need to move beyond it. You need to accept it and like figure out what the problem was, and then do not dwell. Whatever you do, do not dwell on these errors. Don't paralyze yourself in the fact that you didn't do something absolutely perfectly. I wanted to show this. Let's see if I can not shake for once. This is a cool little, it's a shrine. Or if you want to be all cool with you Japanese, this is a jinja. That's what they call the shrines. And this is cool too, this little thing behind here. It's like a mini version of basically hand cleansing, like cleansing yourself. You would wash your hands in this beside you here. Before you would go up over there, you can offer your, it's like a 5 yen coin that's considered lucky that you toss into the thing before you make a prayer. So that's the essence of this video. Let me find a cool place to sit down, continue this talk. Is that if you're coming over, and be it that you're teaching or that you're studying the language, that you should not become obsessed with perfecting it. Perfection will come by allowing for mistakes. Perfection's going to happen, or some version of perfection, as a result of you not obsessing over it and not paralyzing yourself through the pursuit of it. I think it's there's like a ton of good like phrases for this. One is like, if you always have your eye on the goal that you're trying to reach, then you won't have your eyes on the activity, both eyes on the activity that will lead you to that eventual outcome. So it's, as long as you're dividing your attention between perfection and the act of perfecting, you'll never be as efficient as you could possibly be. You'll never be optimal. It's kind of funny, it seems contradictory that to reach our goals most quickly, you shouldn't think about the end goal, you shouldn't think about the end result, but it's really, really true, and it'll give you a lot more peace. We're forever and always our own worst enemies in the way that not everybody. This is something that kills me as well. It's like a never-ending topic for me, is how people who seem less aware, people who seem to care less, go through lives so happily, go through life so happily, where I'm like, I wish I could care a little bit less. And those people, it's not by them having figured philosophically out what to do. It's not that they've grasped this idea that they shouldn't obsess over whatever details. It's that they're completely ignorant of it. And it really begs the question of, is ignorance bliss? Because when I see that, I really do see that it sure seems to be the case, because you don't get caught up on all the minutia, all the stupid little things that really shouldn't matter, that, like I'll repeat many times in this video, that paralyze you if you think about them too much, if you get lost in, oh, I made that mistake. But that's life, right? You would also say as well, for the people who are thinking more, that they can probably appreciate when they have overcome that, or when they are having success, more than that person who's kind of reaching success and didn't even realize that they were doing so. Hard to say which has more value. One is not constantly berating itself, and one is like constantly being successful because they're not searching for success. The other has like maybe a deeper emotional connection with the success when they finally reach it, because they were aware of the errors that they made along the way, but then they're tormented the whole time trying to reach this eventual outcome. It's the curse of caring, the curse of caring, we'll call it. But that's the end of the video. Learn to love your losses, learn to love your mistakes, and allow them to pass. Allow them to pass, and you'll progress far more quickly. I've got a brawl of some dogs behind me here. This is not the most ideal way to finish a supposedly peaceful video. Anyways, that's the end of it. I hope you find this kind of video useful. Getting settled in. I've got a few furnishings arriving today that I'm really stoked about. You know, of course, if you want to subscribe to the channel, I appreciate that. If you enjoy the video and you care to like it, you know I appreciate that too. Helps the channel grow, helps me reach more people, ultimately allows me to, I would hope, help more people just as much as they are helping me by subscribing to the channel. You guys are awesome, all the subscribers, old and new, wonderful community here on the channel. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Ciao for now. Peace.